Hello and welcome to FDT-TV with me, Ian, and as always, I am joined by Mike.
Good evening.
It's been an international break again, so it's been boring. England played, I want to say San Marino. It wasn't San Marino. It was
Not Malta.
I can't remember. I watched something in the pub and it was fucking awful. We did more backwards passes than we did anything. Rashford tackled Saka. They both end up in a heap. I mean, it was 20 quid a ticket, and I think that was overpriced. I've got to be honest. I think there was a lot of people who were really annoyed that they paid that much to watch that. I mean, the question is, as always, I suppose, is Southgate done? Is he done? He said he was going to pick on form. Henderson's still getting in. Phillips is still getting in.
Maguire's still getting in.
Yeah, but he started to play a little bit now. And Man United are the informed team in the league statistically.
Yeah, statistically in the league, yeah.
But it's one of those. He's just picking the same players. He's not doing anything. He picked 5 injured players and then was surprised when he had to call up replacements. Like, I'm not being funny. Like, it's not like they went, "Oh, I'm injured now. I can't play for England." They were injured then out the week before for their teams. Why would you pick them? You just ring them up and go, "How you doing? Are you still injured?" Yeah, I'm still injured. Okay, I'll keep you in mind for the next squad. Jared Bowen's now injured as well, off of England duty. So it's just like, I don't know what he's doing to him. He's an absolute nutcase. But I mean, I predicted it. I think we're going out in the group stage. I don't know about you, but
Do you know what?
like,
yeah, I mean, I didn't actually see the game. I watched like the first 5 minutes of it and thought, "Fuck me, this is boring." Switched it off. But from what I've read, what I've heard on the radio, it was a poor performance. I mean, it was an own goal and an own goal and a goal. So, sorry.
Malta.
Yeah, Malta. I knew it began with an M. But yeah, I just, if I'm being completely honest, I think had the opposition been a bit stronger, i.e. your Italy's and stuff, there may be a sense of occasion about it. Like your Italy's, your Germany's, your France's, that sort of stuff. But because effectively it was a dead rubber game, wasn't it? We've already qualified for the Euros. We're already in pot A. You could literally go out and put a half-assed display in and kind of get away with it because the qualifying campaign's already done. We've already won the group. We've already won the group, haven't we? Yeah. So, I kind of see it from kind of like the player's perspective. That it was, I suppose, kind of like a bit of an exhibition. But
yeah, but it's an exhibition. We should have won 15-0.
Yeah, true. I mean, don't forget. I mean, Malta. We couldn't even remember their name.
Hang on. Just quick, because we're playing North Macedonia, who are currently 1-0 up against us.
Yay! Go on, North Macedonia. Just, yeah, as I said, I did hear an interesting question on TalkSport, though, that I think was quite a good question. It's like, if we were to miss one player going into the start of the Euro, so we get to the night before, kind of like what happened with Rooney that time. I think it was like 2006, I want to say.
Yeah, when you met a tassel, yeah.
Yeah. So if it was the night before the next major tournament and we were without a key player, who do you think would be the worst player to miss?
Probably Jordan Henderson, because he's got no one else to play in that position. He's never called anyone up. We'll play with 10 men instead.
I like that German striker we've got. He's pretty good.
Yeah, he is pretty good, but he's not a tournament striker. He's a league striker, isn't he?
Absolutely, yeah.
He's never won anything in his career. That's the only thing that's let him down.
Yeah.
Scores 15 hat tricks from his own half, but Do you know what? At this point, I know you might go, that's a bit strange. Cole Palmer, if he continues the trajectory he's on, I think would be a major miss because I think he's a talent. I mean, I've seen him over a couple of years, and I think personally he's a more complete player than Phil Foden is coming through the academy at the same sort of time.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he's not been as flush with first team football, but he's now moved to Chelsea from Man City and is showing actually his quality and his ability to drive a team forward and sort of pick up a game from by the scruff of the neck. And I think if he continues in that vein, I think he will probably be one of the bigger misses. I don't even think Southgate will play him. I don't think he knows how to because it's not backwards football. He wants to go forward. So that would be my opinion. It's probably an outside opinion because he hasn't. He's on the bench, isn't he? But he's. Yeah, that's my opinion.
To be honest, I wouldn't even know who my opinion would be of. I suppose Harry Kane, because he does score goals and he's won the Golden Boot a couple of times. But I mean, even in the last competition we were in, it was either that one or the one before. He didn't get going until like the quarterfinals. And I think it was a penalty that he scored to kind of kickstart that particular campaign. So you're kind of right in terms of the goal scoring, but I don't know. For me, I think Saka would be the one. Again, obviously, I know I'm an Arsenal fan, but I think there's been so many games where he's won man of the match or whatever for, again, picking the game up by the scruff of the neck. Doing those charges down the right-hand side, etc., and cutting in on his left. So for me, I think that would be the biggest loss.
I think the only other person that you could possibly throw their hat in the ring would be Kyle Walker.
Mm-hmm. His name was bandied around.
Some of the last-ditch tackles he makes is good, and also going forward is good. I wouldn't like to say anyone else. I mean, obviously Declan Rice, we've both got a shirt on the wall, but it's one of them that he's not. I don't think he's utilised properly in England, and I don't think he's utilised to his full strength at Arsenal, if I'm honest. But it's hard because there's not one player you could definitely go, oh, if we miss them, we're going to struggle. It's not like you go, oh, Norway, Haaland, or Odegaard. It's a flip of a coin, or Portugal, Ronaldo. Do you know what I mean? Which is a nice position to be in, but we've got to be more positive with it. You can't.
Oh, but are you talking about us as fans, or or Gareth Southgate?
As a team, you can't play backwards. It's half time. We're losing 1-0 to Macedonia. The only player that I've heard of for North Macedonia is Alofsky, who plays for Leeds. Never heard of any other their players, even the substitutes. I mean, I like an obscure footballer. Not heard of a single one of them, apart from a guy who plays in the Championship. We're losing 1-0 against arguably. How much did that team cost?
£1
to put together. No, the England team. Jack Grealish 100 million on his own, more than Southampton. But he's playing Rico Lewis on the left. He's a right back. Like, fucking, he got 15 right backs in the squad.
Yeah. Anyway.
Rico Lewis, Trent Alexander, Kyle Walker, Kieran Trippier. And the only reason Reece James is in there is because he's coming back from injury. He would have had 5 right backs otherwise.
You gotta love Southgate, innit? Gotta love him.
I hate him with a passion. He's an idiot.
But on to more positive news.
More positive. The Premier League is back. That is more positive news, Mike. The Premier League is back. And, well, maybe not for all of us. Everton, I think, is probably the other big talking point of the week, other than Gareth Southgate's big nose, is that they've been docked 10 points. for a breach of financial fair play or sustainability rules for one charge, which was brought about by Leeds and Burnley complaining to the Premier League. It then got pushed over to an independent commission who took a number of months to come to a decision, and they've given the biggest deduction in Premier League history of 10 points. They were only £20 million above or over the limit of where they were allowed to be, which is, I think, strangely harsh, considering
We were
extenuating circumstances. We've had 2 years where the world went into shutdown. That's part of the 3-year period, and then the end of the 3-year period that they're looking at, a war in Ukraine started. At which point the guy who was in charge of the company that was going to sponsor the new stadium, when it got planning permission, that was all signed, sealed and delivered for £400 million. They had to cut all ties because the government said he's got ties with Russia. So I don't think it's necessarily fair. I think in football it's negligible. I'm not saying losing money constantly is good, but £20 million in the modern day is nothing. The Premier League was still giving their signature of approval for players. They were still buying players. They could have turned that down, at which point Everton would have been better off. Wouldn't have breached the financial rules. So I think it's very harsh. They have obviously appealed it within the Premier League bounds. So what that means is they can't then take it outside of the Premier League to like the Court of Arbitration for Sport or anything like that. I personally think that it will be reduced. They've got 3 months, I think, to come to a decision. So we will have a decision by the end of
January.
Hopefully. But it's one of those that Everton have said, yes, we are guilty. It's been mismanaged. They're quite well aware of that, and that's why obviously they're trying to sell the club to that 777 group, which will help. It's just, I think it's extremely harsh considering. And I mean, Chelsea are being investigated currently. Let's not forget that. Their breaches would put them in the National League if they're found correctly, the amount of charges they have. And Manchester City, if all 115 charges, which has been going on for 5 years now, are brought towards it, and they're given the same harshness of penalty, will end up in the 17th League of English football. So
they'll bounce back.
Yeah, they might, but do you know what I mean? I don't think those clubs are going to be as harshly treated. I mean well, exactly, and the profitability and whatever rules, sustainability rules, are all, and the financial fair play are all geared towards big clubs. We've discussed this over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a big club, you've got bigger revenue, you can lose more money. Which, if you're a little club, you don't have as big a budget to pump money into it, even if you want to. So, in that respect, big teams will always be big, little teams will always be little because they haven't got the spending power. It's harsh, but I think even with a 10-point deduction, I don't think Everton are going down. What's your thoughts?
I agree. Just firstly on the charges, I do think is a little bit harsh, and I've seen the likes of was it Leeds, Burnley, and Southampton. I think are all lodging they're going to sue them or someone.
Yeah, Leicester, Leeds, and Burnley.
Yeah, they're all looking to sue now for obviously the fact that they've acted improperly, in which case they've been able to sustain themselves in the Premier League. Again, I'll be interested to see where that one goes, whether there's any kind of merit in that. But that being said, I mean, potentially you could end up putting Everton completely out of business. as you said, there were kind of extenuating circumstances behind it. They're losing massive amounts of revenue from ticket sales, etc., during the middle of the pandemic when no one could go anywhere. So yeah, I do agree. It is a little bit harsh, and the fact that they've come out and held their hands up and said, "Yeah, we are aware. We've done this wrong."
And this is part of the reason why.
Yeah. So, but in relation to them being relegated, I suppose when you look at the teams around them, the likes of Luton, Burnley,
United,
sorry,
Sheffield United and Bournemouth, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That you would like to think that they would be safe. I mean, I think I stated at the start of the season they were one of my possible predictions to go down because of the fact they've been kind of teetering on the edge a little bit for the last few years, being safe by the skin of their teeth on occasion. So I wouldn't be surprised, but obviously they have shown in recent weeks that they do have some chutzpah about them in order to be better than the teams around them. So I would be interested to see if they do stay up, or whether this is going to be the nail in the coffin. I do think it's really harsh though on how quickly that decision has been reached. I mean, as you said, with the likes of Chelsea and Manchester City have been dragging on for what seems like ages, and nothing's been, or we haven't heard anything about them.
Yeah, I mean, the Manchester City one has been going on for 5 years now. It was going on for 4 years before it came out because they didn't want it reported on. That's obviously, there's a lot more complication to that. They've thrown money at it. They're putting up barriers. Part of that investigation is they don't believe they've supplied them with correct books and things like that. So getting that information is harder. They're also Manchester City are also throwing up now allegations that the Premier League are not fit for purpose and shouldn't be investigating it anyway, because they're as bad at it themselves. So that one puts up a little bit more. Obviously, the Chelsea one hasn't been going on as much, but I think from the outside in, you can see that the guy who owns it, one of the guys who's part of the consortium, also is part of a consortium that owns some of these Saudi Arabian clubs, and all of a sudden there's big money coming in for players that previously they couldn't shift. So you'd have to look at it in that sense, that it's, from an outside perspective, it looks fairly dubious. Obviously, you have to put proof to it, but they're slightly more complicated. I think the other thing being is Everton were quite forthcoming in working with the Independent Commission and the Premier League to say, look, this is what we've done, let's sort it out. And I think they should sort of be commended for that rather than trying to put blockades in place.
Yep.
And drag it out. I mean, I think reduce it to 5 points. It's been mismanaged. It's extenuating circumstance. It's not that much below. And if they can show this season that actually they're going to be making not necessarily a profit, but working towards profit, they're not making as much as a loss. It's going in the right direction.
Yeah.
With that being that they're going to move into a new stadium, so that's going to be more revenue. They're going to get naming rights for that, so that's going to be more revenue. You can see long term there is a plan logistically for them to be sustainable, rather than relegate them, and then all of a sudden you've then pushed a team that would have been profitable into possibly, not saying it will happen, but possibly financial obscurity forever.
Yep.
It's too harsh for me. But either way, I think even if they do get 10 points, they will stay up.
So has that deduction actually hit them?
Yes, it was an immediate
one. I was going to say, because I thought
still above Sheffield United. They're 19th. I think they're 2 wins from being above Bournemouth again.
Yeah,
no, it's not.
It's definitely not impossible, and I suppose the timing of it is pretty poor. But yeah, it's definitely one to keep an eye on. And to be honest, I'm surprised. I mean, I've kind of been a bit out of the loop this week or last week. So, but I'd be surprised if there were no kind of conversations or asking the question of what's happening with the Chelsea and the Man City one. Again, I know it's a lot more complex in terms of the amount of charges and stuff like that, but
I think that the only way that will come about is when they are actually charged. If they're not charged similarly to Everton, I think they will then have a case to financially sue the Premier League for hundreds of millions because of not being treated equally.
yeah.
It's one of those. I mean, the punishment for the 6 teams that threatened to leave the Premier League and break all the rules for that, and did break the rules for that was confirmed, was £30,000 each. So I mean, it stems to say that actually the bigger clubs are treated different, because a £30,000 fine for threatening to leave the league, breaching your rules and competition stuff, and signed charters for being £30,000, yet for being 20 million over a loss in a period where with exceptional circumstances, it's just it just stinks of corruption.
Yep.
I mean, I've said it for a long time. There's betting scandals going on within the Premier League, and it wouldn't surprise me if there's backhanders going on as well. I mean, anyone who thinks there isn't doesn't know how the world goes round. Like, you help me out, I'll bung you a bit back. Do you know what I mean? That's how that's how it works in every scenario. So yeah, it's just time will tell. Hopefully they see sense and say, okay, we'll reduce it to this amount because that's sensible. It still wouldn't be good for Chelsea and Man City if they finally get found guilty of all of the charges. I imagine Manchester City will probably come down by 2, 3 or 4. They'll say this is definitely what we can prove, and we'll go, okay, let's take 10 points off, let's take 15 points off. I think they'll go with that. And Chelsea's similarly, I think you'll probably find there'll be a transfer ban and a 5-point deduction, something like that. But I don't know. Don't know.
We'll see. Make sure you stay tuned to when we follow up on these stories, as and when they do hit, when we've both retired. Yeah. Is it still half time? Oh, it must just be kicking off.
Yeah, I think it's just kicking off again. But let's just have a look. It is still 1-0. Oh, I don't know. I looked at it last time. Yeah, still half time.
Cool.
It's not kicked off again yet.
Excellent.
Oh, but we did make some predictions a few weeks ago, Mike.
We did.
We did make some predictions. Obviously, it's been a bit of a merry-go-round here on the channel. Back to normality now. That the international break is over. But we do play for a trophy that is not mine, but it is mine because it's here. It's not mine. It's got Mike's name on it for last season. But I'm a bad loser, and he's not having the trophy back. It's a be all and end all. But what were the predictions that we made? Because it's so long ago, I can't even remember.
Yeah, so we have got a couple of games that we mentioned or we predicted just before the international break started. Arsenal versus Burnley, West Ham versus Nottingham Forest, and Chelsea versus Man City. So going back a couple of weeks now. There were some high-scoring matches. In fact, all of them very high-scoring matches. Just going back to the Arsenal-Burnley one, I think I was in a bit of a dampener at that particular point because obviously Burnley are a team without results. I think is the best way to say it. And Arsenal's the gift that keeps on giving, and sometimes we can gift the opposition their kickstart to their campaigns. You went for 2-1 to Arsenal. I went for 1-1. Score was 3-1. so you could pick up a point. So just to confirm, we get a point for a correct result, 3 points for a correct score. So 1 point to you, 0 to me. The next game was West Ham versus Nottingham Forest. You went for 0-0. I went for 1-0 to West Ham. The score was 3-2. Yeah, that was 3-2 to West Ham, wasn't it? So 0 points to you for the 0-0 draw, and 1 point for me. Chelsea versus Man City. I think this was a massive coupon buster, but Chelsea have picked up some, or have put in some very good performances recently. So Chelsea versus Man City, you went for 2-1 to Chelsea. I went 3-1 to Man City. The score was 4-4, so 0 points there. So a massive scoring week even for us, Ian. So 1 point to you, 1 point to me. Therefore, the season as follows, Ian. You are currently on 21 points and I am on 20. So you still have the 1 point advantage, but all to play for. Sorry?
Yeah. So the reason I lost last season is because in the Man City Chelsea games, things like that, I would go for like, oh, it's going to be 4-4, and it never happened. And this season, I thought I'd be a bit more conservative, I'd be a bit more sensible. I mean, Chelsea should have won that game; they were robbed by VAR. But let's not get into that.
We nearly did it.
Yeah, entertaining game for the neutral. So yeah. What games have we got this week?
Yeah, so we've got Brentford versus Arsenal, and Burnley versus West Ham, and then the standout fixture I think for this week, which we need to cheekily throw in, is Manchester City versus Liverpool. So we'll start with Brentford versus Arsenal. I got to be honest, we're playing away. I'm a little bit nervous about this game. Again, we've got some players that are out injured. Hopefully, some of them coming back. Just waiting to see, obviously, the press conferences to find out who's coming back, if anyone. Hopefully, the international break is going to be enough for some people to get fit again. Kai Havertz, I really want to see more from Kai Havertz. You know, I wanted to be so optimistic about him, but then again, I was optimistic about Willian when he joined. I was like, yeah, he's going to be a brilliant signing for us, and was just a massive flop. But this is an even bigger flop for the amount of money that we paid for him. £65 million for Kai Havertz, and he's got a penalty to his name. Couple of assists possibly, but he needs to get in and amongst it. He's been in some good positions, but the man is void of all confidence, and he just needs to get a couple of goals under his belt, and I think it'll be amazing. But is this going to be a key game for him? God knows. But anyway, Brentford versus Arsenal. Like I said, I'm a little bit worried about this one. I think I'm gonna go 2-1 to Arsenal with that one, but I think it's going to be very scrappy. Brentford will score first. We'll have our backs to the wall, and then towards the latter stage of the second half is when we'll come to life, and we'll get the result on that one.
I think it's a hard game to think about for obvious reasons. I mean, David Raya won't be playing, will he? Because he's on loan from Brentford. So you will have Ramsdale in goal. It's one of those that Brentford are missing. Obviously, David Raya is a big part of the team last year. Ivan Toney's still got his betting ban. I think what you said about Havertz is right. He is void of confidence. But again, Chelsea deployed him as a striker. He's a fantastic attacking midfielder. But you're playing him in a weird position again. I think put him to what he knows, what he's played for the whole of his career, and let him get a bit of confidence, and then push him into a different position in your system. Maybe you get a tune out of him. In Germany, he was phenomenal, but as Harry Kane has shown, that is a farmers' league. So, I was trying to teach someone who knew nothing about football how to talk football at the weekend. And what I told them they needed to know is that VAR is abysmal and it needs to be got rid of. Everywhere that isn't England is a farmers' league. And that match the other night was a bit tasty, wasn't it? I thought three phrases you can get through any conversation to do with football. If you really don't know, you can blag it. And also England are really bad at tournaments. What's that all about? But Brentford are not that bad. I'm going to go for a 2-2 here, just for the fact that you've had a number of players away on international duty, and you've got Aaron Ramsdale in goal, who's a little bit void of confidence as well. I think he might be a bit shaky, especially if Brentford score early on.
Yep. Cool. So the next game, Burnley versus West Ham.
Battle of the Claret and Blue. We have no Jared Bowen. He's injured. We have no Antonio. He's injured, both on international duty. So the fact that Barcelona get £3 million for Gavi from FIFA because he got injured on international duty, where's our money? It's a horrible thing to say, but this is why I don't like international duty in the middle of the season. It ruins everything. Takes momentum out of teams. It creates injuries that shouldn't be injuries. I think it should be to play as a mini tournament in the summer, get it over and done with, and then a big tournament every other year. With this game, Burnley have not played. Well, Burnley have played well in points. They've not got the results that they deserve, I think, in some aspects. I think what they do really well is press quite high up the pitch. They're still trying to do that, and they play very simple football. And as I've said before, the way to beat West Ham is with very simple football. And for that reason, and that reason alone, I'm going to go 3-2 to Burnley.
Interesting. I have gone slightly different. Again, I think. Oh, actually, no. No. I'm going to stick with my original prediction. I think because of the way that Burnley have obviously started the campaign, obviously the results have gone against them. VAR's gone against them a couple of times. I think, even with your injuries, I think just a team that have knocked so much of their confidence, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to West Ham.
Fair enough. I was going to go 2-1, but it would be quite a high-scoring game. And just before we move on to the next game, England won, North Macedonia won. Saka cuts in from the wing, beats two players before crossing a lovely ball for Grealish to turn it home with his knee. But hold on, there's a VAR check for offside. And in North Macedonia, so who knows, because the cameras in our country are awful. I don't know what the stadium's like in North Macedonia, but it's probably not anything Wembley. So now the score is, after 3 minutes, is North Macedonia 1, England 0. After a lengthy VAR check, Grealish is adjusted to have been offside. Goal has been ruled out.
Excellent. Well done, VAR. To be honest, it might have been a stone on the pitch and looked like a toe, because I've heard the pitch is a bit of a shambles. But yes, moving very swiftly on to the final game of the this weekend that we are going to predict: Manchester City versus Liverpool. This is a fixture like the Chelsea game. I think a lot of people are looking forward to as a neutral.
Yep.
I think from a selfish perspective, I think a draw would be favourable for us. Obviously, providing we get the win. And I want a low scoring draw as well. But do you know what? I'm going to go for a KG 1-1 on this one.
KG what? 1-1.
1-1.
I was going to go draw, and then I don't know. I did think it could be a goalless draw, one of those that neither team really wants to lose, so it gets a bit silly. I'm going to go for. I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool. Just to be out there.
Yeah, but they'll put Liverpool top. Ugh, makes me feel sick.
They've won it before.
Yeah.
What you have to think about, Mike, is take Ange Postecoglou out. Do you want Tottenham to be top, or do you want Liverpool to be top, or would you just dig your eyes out with spoons?
Spoons, I think.
Yeah, that's the world, isn't it?
Yeah, but to be fair, I mean, you can't begrudge Liverpool. They are a fantastic team, especially under Jurgen Klopp. But yes, that is a prediction. So just a very quick roundup. You've gone for 2-2 for Arsenal versus Brentford. I've gone for 2-1. Burnley versus West Ham. You went 3-2. I went for 2-1 to West Ham. Manchester City. You've gone for 2-1 to Liverpool. I've gone for 1-1. So that is the predictions for this week.
It is. It's good, isn't it?
Mm.
Have you got any more football news before we wrap it up?
No, I'm good this week. I'm looking forward to getting the Premier League started back. Oh, one bit of news. It's irrelevant. No one's going to give a shit or anything, and I've already told you the story. But the shirts will be updated next week. There will be a new addition to the football shirt, so keep your eyes peeled and let me know if you spot the difference. If you're on YouTube, obviously. Oh, in fact, no, you can do it on.
Anyway,
yeah,
wherever you're watching. We'll probably have to put an epilepsy warning out.
Yep.
That's the only thing. I mean, one other thing. I went to watch non-league football at the weekend.
How was it?
Oh, phenomenal. I remembered how much good fun it is. Took the missus and the baby to her first football game, so that was great. Referee was horrendous. The linesman was horrendous. I mean, really horrendous. He made it about him. The linesman let a player on when the referee said wait, and then the referee moaned at him. He didn't call offsides. He called corners that were obvious goal kicks, and goal kicks were obvious corners.
Well, Mike Dean, was it?
It wasn't what?
It wasn't Mike Dean, was it?
It wasn't Mike Dean, no. I don't think Mike Dean could have been this bad. I think he threatened to send off both sets of management twice. He said, if I come over again, I'm going to send you off, and then never did. But you can hear everything at non-league level, which is even better. Scrappy 1-0, 1-1 draw. So yeah, it was good fun. It was really good fun, and I think we should visit non-league more often.
Yes, yeah, I'm off for that.
This is my call. If you haven't been to your local non-league team in a while, go and have a watch, because it's good fun.
Well, we could be doing that soon with Southend. Well, in fact, we could do that with Southend there.
Yeah, Southend are non-league team
Yeah,
now.
there you go.
And this was the Ishman South, I think.
Bless you.
This is what it is. Good fun. Good fun all throughout. Everyone had a jolly good time. But that's it for this week. So yeah, until next week, you can do one, and we'll see you here next week, pretty much.
I've been Mike.
I've been Ian.
We'll see you next week.